All right, it's now 10:47, 10:48 now. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott here. We have a very dangerous thunderstorm, a confirmed large violent tornado down that's coming up on Lamar County in Alabama. And the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, they are just about to pull the trigger for tornado warning. And Marcus, are we on TV2 and Facebook Live? Okay, so welcome for everybody joining us on television. Hope you guys are having a good Friday night. I hate to break in a program, but we got a pretty urgent situation developing with a very large, violent tornado down. The National Weather Service office in Birmingham calling this a tornado emergency for this storm coming out to Monroe County, Mississippi. So if you're in Lamar County or Marion County, you need to be in shelter now. I know you don't have technically a tornado warning yet, but it is coming. Tornado watch in effect there. That's our Pfeiffer Cam at Fayette, a little too far away to see the tornado yet from that. I want to go over to radar and tell you what, let's go to Columbus perspective. Let's just look at this thing together. This storm is
Richard,
insane.
we got a massive debris ball on it just southwest of Amory.
Okay, let's go to that. Is that the tornado warning that just came out? My goodness, look at that thing.
Let me check real quick. No tornado warning on it yet, but John DeBlock over the Weather Service says that it is coming.
This is a violent tornado down. This is an urgent situation. If you are in Lamar County, you need to be in shelter there. That's Amory, Mississippi. Taylor, it looks like Amory's going to take a direct hit from this violent tornado. So, man, this is the worst case scenario for Amory, Mississippi, that's going to take a direct hit from this violent tornado. I want to look at the velocity signature and just watch this thing together and let me know as soon as they issue that tornado warning. Look at the couplet on this thing, how the colors wrap around each other. That is an insane velocity signature. So this thing is as violent as it gets. So this is as strong and violent as a tornado can get. You're talking about EF3, EF4, maybe even EF5 type of tornado, depending on what structures this thing hits. And this thing is coming right upon Amory, Mississippi. That couplet, Taylor, is one of the most impressive couplets I've seen in a long time.
It is. That's honest.
Man.
So this is the same storm. If folks hadn't really watched what has been going on today, this is the same storm that produced a pretty massive tornado over in southwestern Mississippi. And the Weather Service is saying that this one, I think he said, John DeBlock is saying that it might be a 200-knot couplet on radar. So what that he's saying is that velocity couplet put together is about 200 knots of wind. And if that is to be the case, then that is a very massive, violent EF4, maybe even EF5 tornado, just based on velocity. Not saying that that is happening, but just the velocity couplet itself.
Yeah, that's 230 mile per hour winds.
Yes, that would be EF5 strength.
200 is the beginning
right.
of EF5.
Yes, but this is the most impressive one we've seen. When it was on the ground in West Mississippi, that's kind of in a radar dead zone, so you're not really hitting it at the low levels, but even then, the velocity was still pretty good. So we do have the warning coming now, so just a matter of who is actually going to be under the warning, Richard.
Yeah, that's we're going to see this polygon pop up here in just a moment. So, and as soon as they do, let me know, Taylor. This is the latest information. Again, this is the couplet itself. And you know, I don't even know if I can sample the winds inside this thing efficiently because I believe it goes off of our color scale with this actual couplet itself. But I'm going to try to see if we can actually see. Yeah, see, it's not even registering correctly because it's off our scale. And was that the tornado warning?
Not yet. I think that's still Huntsville. By the way, debris is now being lofted up to at least 7,000 feet.
So this is a dangerous situation. Let's go over to the correlation coefficient. Here's a new update. The couplet is just surreal. So again, if you know anybody in Amory, Mississippi, if you got friends or family there, please call them. Tell them what's happening. This is a violent tornado, most likely a mile wide or larger type of tornado based off the signature that's coming directly up on Amory, Mississippi. And then after it hits Amory, it's coming in Alabama. So let's see where this thing is going to move in Alabama. Looks like, I would say, Detroit area, north of Lamar County. Most likely, you're going to take the hit from this tornado if it continues. And again, it's moving northeast. Pretty good clip here. So that is certainly Marion, Lamar County. In northern Lamar County, you need to be in shelter right now. Let's go over to the correlation coefficient and just look at this together, the debris signature. And
tornado warning now.
There it is.
Okay. It says observed damage threat considerable. Confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located over Amory, moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. This warning is for just Marion County.
Okay, so it doesn't include Lamar.
No, it does not include tomorrow, but it goes until 11:45, so almost an hour.
All right, so let's track this thing out. We got a violent tornado down coming up on Amory, Mississippi, and here's the deal: we're not using these words to try to frighten you. This is a special situation. We have many tornadoes where the threat is much lower. You might have an EF0, EF1 that's a threat primarily to mobile home structures or to vehicles. This is a tornado that can level a home. So this is an urgent call a situation here. The National Weather Service using words they don't typically use with this type of deal. This is an extremely dangerous, likely catastrophic tornado. So again, Amory, Mississippi, this thing is coming up on you quickly, 60 miles per hour. So think of a highway speed in a straight line, not through curves up and down hills, just a straight line, 60 miles per hour. So let me zoom out and let's look at this thing together, where that warning polygon is going to be. So there's your tornado right there. So you got just a little bit of time before it moves into West Alabama. Not much, but it's coming. Let's look at the warning polygon. There it is right there. So again, it's making more of a northeast jog. So this is going to cross Interstate 22, somewhere between Hamilton and Scottsville, or the Bexar area. In fact, we got a camera that's an algo camera. I'm going to check that out here in just a moment, Taylor. That's going to be sitting right there. I think it's on exit 3 there, 3 miles off the Alabama state line. So this thing is going to be very close to that tornado pretty soon. We got a little ways to go before it hits there, but we're going to look at that algo camera here in a moment. But again, northern portions of Marion County, generally Hamilton, all the way up to the Scottsville area. You're in the direct path of this very dangerous tornado that is moving your way. And the tornado is on top of Amory right now, Amory, Mississippi.
And Richard, I just want to kind of point this out real quick. So nobody in Lamar County is under tornado warning. However, Detroit, you are extremely close. I would go ahead and just take your tornado precautions just to be on the safe side. I know you're not under the warning, but you are right there next to the county line, and this could easily jog a little bit to the right, and then you're in the path of it. So if you're in Detroit, very far northern Lamar County, I would just go ahead and take your tornado precautions just to be safe.
So again, absolutely, North Lamar County, even though you're not technically in it, let's be sheltered to be on the safe side. This is a unique situation. Let's zoom into where this tornado is right now. Then I want to do a path on this thing. So there's the debris ball. We can see that, the debris dropout. And this thing is on the north side of Amory, Mississippi. So again, there's Amory. There's your very large, violent tornado. This thing most likely is a mile wide. Understand, we are sampling air. Taylor, we're sampling air very close to the ground level. So it's not like we're seeing this debris ball that's wider, several thousand feet up. Most likely, this is within a couple hundred feet of the ground.
That and the Weather Service, John DeBlock, this debris 15 to 20,000 feet up.
20,000 feet.
So just to put this out there, so studies have shown that debris at about 10 to 15,000 feet is indicative of a pretty strong tornado. That's EF2, EF3. This is 15 to 20. This is very serious, people. We don't want to use these words very often, but this is a very dangerous, deadly situation. If this is lofting debris at 20,000 feet, that's easily EF3 higher strength. This could easily wipe anything off of foundations potentially. So this is very serious.
So this is one where you need to take advantage of your local storm shelter if you can. If there's a fire department, fire station that has a storm shelter nearby, you need to take advantage of this thing because this violent tornado is coming up on western Marion County. There's Amory. It looks like the debris ball passed on the north side of downtown Amory, Mississippi. But again, it's coming up, that's Highway 25, and let's go out in a wide view and show you this thing. So let me zoom out and let's take a look at the path of this thing because we need to get people in shelter as fast as possible. The debris ball on this thing is gigantic. Again, now on the north side of Amory. There's Smithville, by the way, Taylor, Smithville, Mississippi, a very well-known community hit by an F5, EF5 tornado, April 27, 2011. This type of tornado is probably similar to that tornado. Quite frankly. So, again, this is a violent tornado that could be an EF3, EF4, EF5 standard. And again, we're not trying to hype this thing up. We're not trying to use wording to frighten you. We're just trying to let you know this is the real deal with this violent tornado. That's Smithville, Mississippi, and then next up is going to be into Marion County in Alabama. So let's tell you what, let's zoom out. Let's do a track on this thing because it's moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. So let's show you where this tornado is going to go. And I'll do a cone here. And again, there's your violent tornado right there, moving northeast just like that at 60 miles per hour. So move this out to 60 right there. And again, these are the computer estimated times of arrival. This is what time the potential tornado could be where you are. And Taylor, I see where the Storm Prediction Center has put a meso discussion. I'd be willing to bet it's on this storm.
I actually checked it. I thought the same thing. Okay. I think they actually did a wider perspective, taking a look at maybe they might expand the watch a little bit further to the east. Okay. So, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that maybe they're highlighting this area, but it looks like, if I can get the website to update to see if I can see the graphic. That graphic's not up yet. But, yeah, it looks like it's just an overall perspective.
So, you know, sometimes Storm Prediction Center, they'll issue these small-scale, mesoscale discussions on a storm like this. It's kind of more of more detailed than what you would see in a standard tornado warning. So, again, these are the times of arrival. So, I know you see Detroit right there on your map. Let's pull this up full so we can see this pretty clearly there, Marcus. And again, we've got Detroit there at 11:23, Bexar 11:31, Hamilton at 11:41, Hackleburg at 11:58. So I know all these communities are very familiar with tornadoes in the past. We've had a lot of big tornadoes in this part of Alabama, and hopefully this thing will lift before getting to you. But it is still a powerhouse-looking tornado based off what I'm seeing here on my radar, too, behind the scenes. So, again, these are the times of arrival, what time that tornado could be where you are. Let me clear this information off. Let's go back into this tornado debris signature. And again, what you're looking at, this is dual polarization. This is a special part of radar. Radar technology has changed a lot over the years, and now we have the ability to see debris inside of a tornado. And I can tell you that's the tornado. This is it. This is debris inside this thing, and you see those colorations of like blue to even gray. That represents all sorts of different size objects in the air. Most likely this has hit structures, and what you're seeing is people's homes in the air. Unfortunately, you're seeing, roof shingles, you're seeing boards, plywood, you're seeing who knows what, tree branches that's being lofted in the air. But whenever you see the colors drop out so low, that's indicative of a lot of debris in the air. So there's a lot of stuff in the air right now. This could be sheet metal. This could be anything. But again, this just shows you the urgency of this tornado. So again, that's Flynn, Mississippi. We're still in Monroe County, Mississippi. This is going to be moving into southwest Marion County within about 20 minutes or less. So again, it's moving northeast at about 60 miles per hour. See where the Weather Service, they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for the southern part of this line. Let me show you what they're looking at. They think the rear flank downdraft part of this storm could come around and produce powerful winds that do get into Lamar County. So if you're in Detroit or Sullivan, even as far south as Vernon, you could have tornado-like winds wrap around this thing. So that's a big deal. Debris at least 19,000 feet high, Taylor. So the Weather Service saying it's at least 19,000 feet off the ground. That's just something you don't see often. There's very few tornadoes that had a debris signature. The Selma tornado was what, 10,000 feet? Yeah,
that was EF4, right?
Yeah, that's look at the debris ball now. This thing's gigantic.
I've never seen that coloring on a debris ball. So usually when we look at the correlation coefficient, that's what we're seeing here. It's dark blue. Yeah. That is your debris and stuff. This is starting to get into the whites and even the greens. So, I mean, I've never seen, at least from our radar perspective here in-house, I've never seen a debris ball colored like that before.
So, Taylor, that's Smithville, Mississippi right there. Well known for the April 27, 2011 EF5 tornado. I can't remember the number of fatalities from that tornado that day. There was a large number from this particular tornado that was in a very similar part of in Mississippi, about to move into Alabama. So again, that's Smithville, Mississippi. The tornado itself is on the south side of Smithville, but again, it's moving northeast like that. Let me zoom out just a little bit because I see something right below here, Taylor, that I want to point out. That's the radar site right there. You see that? And this is not far from the radar site. So we're sampling air that's close to the ground. So when we look at the velocity, we see the wind. We're actually seeing winds that are almost at ground level. So that gives you a good idea of how strong the tornado itself is. But again, there's Bexar and Scottsville at the top of your screen. Okay, just checking there. So again, you know, Taylor, I'm not sure. I'd have to do a loop on this, but that looks like there could be debris that's being picked up into the updraft and thrown out of the storm. You see that coloration there?
Yeah, let me...
And that could be hail, but most likely what that is debris. Some of these big tornadoes, you often see debris falling out of the sky that's several miles out ahead of the tornado itself. That may be what that is.
Let me loop it on my phone. That's debris.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez, this is serious, folks. I honestly, I have never seen a debris signature that you actually loop it in the. If you can loop it, Richard,
yeah, let me step off and do that.
You can
Taylor.
see the debris signature is taking the shape of the supercell. You can literally, once he loops it, we'll probably see it behind me right here. You'll see it go, and it just expands. It's going. You can literally see the supercell structure within the debris signature. I have never seen anything like that at all. I mean, this is.
So most likely what we're doing, Taylor, we're able to, because this thing is so close to the radar site, we're able to see just ultra high resolution of the tornado itself. But what you're looking at is you're seeing debris that's falling out of the sky at least 10 miles away from the tornado. So, you know, if you're up here in way up here in, what is that, Cardsville, Mississippi, this thing's probably a good 10, 15 miles north of the tornado. You've got debris falling out of the sky right there. And again, we're going to see this cross into Bexar. Even if this tornado were to lift, you're going to see debris still falling out of the sky for quite some time. But look at you can see everything kind of wrapping around the tornado there with the debris signature. So there it is there. So they are going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning.
Tornado emergency will be upgraded in that warning too, Richard. The one in Marion County.
So they're going to issue a tornado emergency for this storm, and they're going to do Marion County. So again, this is an urgent situation for Bexar. If you're in Bexar, even the Scottsville area, you need to be in shelter now. They're going to call this a tornado emergency. Again, the threat level for this is going to be as high as it gets. Obviously, we know how serious this thing is based off what we're seeing in the past of this thing. Hopefully, this thing will lift. And it could occlude off and it could dissipate. That's very possible. We want that to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So again, these are the areas we're looking at. If you're in Bexar, even as far north as Scottsville, you got to be in shelter now for this tornado that's down. That's Interstate 22, this Highway 19 that runs out of Lamar County. The split off Highway 19 at 17 is right at Lamar-Marion County line there. There's Hamilton. You know, Hamilton, you're close, but I think the core tornado threat's going to be on the northwest side of Hamilton. So that's what we're looking at there. I want to put on the reflectivity just for a moment. I haven't looked at that in a while.
And while you do that, Richard, real quick, so I got a buddy of mine who's a big weather enthusiast and stuff, and he's made a very good observation with this on the debris signature. So the tornado is actively picking things up, and it's lofting it up into the storm. But when you look at the debris signature and the overall rotation, it's literally when the debris is falling down, the circulation is so strong, it's wrapping it back around. So you're not only getting new debris that's being lofted up, it's almost like reusing it as it comes back in.
Back around the tornado.
That's just incredible.
And you see some of these tornadoes, these big violent tornadoes out in the plains. You watch, if you see, you can go on YouTube and find some of these close-up range tornadoes. You see the debris falling out, and it kind of gets wrapped back into the tornado, and that's essentially what you're seeing happen right there. So Smithville, the tornado's now to your east. We're about to get a new radar update, so let's wait for that new scan. And while we do that, I want to look at the velocity with this, just see what it looks like. So there's our tornado there, and it looks like this thing may be broadening out just a little bit, Taylor. So not saying this thing is dissipating, but this thing may be in the process of broadening out. Hopefully that will happen. We've seen that happen to the southwest. This tornado totally dissipated. In fact, at one point, this long track tornado had no warning for it. You know, this thing's been on the ground for miles and miles across Mississippi. The storm finally kind of got out of sync and the rotation diminished. So that's what we're looking at there.
I understand getting some beam blockage,
I
but
got you.
it just looping it and seeing how it's going, I would suspect that it's starting to occlude. So that would mean one or two things are going to happen. It's going to end up, give it about 5 minutes or so, and it might be gone, or it just decides to stop the occlusion process and it gets better inflow and it ramps back up again. So we'll probably know within the next 5 minutes or so how this might progress as it moves into the state.
Yeah, and hopefully this thing will dissipate before it moves into Lamar County. So again, there's our tornado right there. Again, Bexar, that's I-22, need you in shelter now. Highway 19 corridor. Anybody driving on Interstate 22 for the Mississippi State line all the way down to Hamilton, pull over, let this tornado pass. It's moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. And I tell you what, while we do this, let me put on the radar out of Columbus. Let's go to a wide view briefly because I want to show other parts of Alabama, because I know there are a lot of people that are just trying to check what's going on with other parts of the state. And again, a note from John Block, he's over the National Weather Service in Birmingham. He's also mentioning it may be occluding, cutting itself off essentially, so that would be awesome. So they're going to wait on the upgrade. So they're not going to issue a tornado emergency, but they've got a considerable tag on the warning. So that would be wonderful. This thing occludes itself off and dissipates. Let's see. And just checking information here behind the scenes too.
The velocity is still really good on it, but the reflectivity is just really suggesting occluding. Okay. So hopefully that continues, but the velocity couplet is still very much there.
So here's the deal on what's happening with this tornado. So when a tornado occludes itself off, think of cool air gets wrapped around the tornado. The tornado needs warm, moist air to survive, to continue to feed the updraft of the thunderstorm. The tornado is like a giant straw. It's sucking up warm, moist air off the ground level. And if you cut that off with cool, damp air, then you can kill the tornado. You can dissipate the tornado. So that may be happening right now. If that happens, it's wonderful news, but it can recycle, regenerate, a new tornado can form to the east of that and to the southeast of that. So it doesn't mean we're totally out of the woods, but at least that is a promising sign that something may be changing. Other areas that we're just looking at here, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham South, there's no problems at all. The only problem at all is up here moving to Marion County and northern Lamar County for the tornado potential and the damaging wind potential around the tornado itself. But again, if you're in cities like Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, Taylor, I see nothing back to the west that would indicate some sort of threat for Tuscaloosa or Birmingham tonight.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it. So far, nothing's really standing out. There is one cell north of, I might just completely botch this name, but is it a Kosciuszko or
Kosciuszko?
Yeah, Kosciuszko. That one is trying to get supercellular, meaning it's trying to get a decent mid-level rotation going with it. That one needs to be watched, but so far southwest of this line, there's nothing really going on. But we got a lot of what we call feeder bands that are moving into the actual line, and so when that happens, you can kind of get some spin involved with the line itself. That's part of the QLCS, those kind of spin-up tornadoes within the line. You get these little feeder cells that kind of come in, it hits that line, and it just acts as a mechanism to just get some rotation going. You can get a quick spin-up real quick. But right now, I'm not really seeing anything that's really standing out besides just that supercell that's just about to cross the state line. So, yeah, hopefully, Richard, this will just continue to be a northwestern Alabama thing, and Tuscaloosa areas closer to the I-20 corridor is not going to be that much affected by tornadoes. But, again, we can't really turn a blind eye to this. But so far, I'm not seeing anything that is screaming, hey, massive, tornado warning cell coming in towards West Alabama up towards Tuscaloosa right now.
Yeah, so what I'm doing, Taylor, I'm pulling up the camera here that is showing.
Yeah, while we do that, yeah, go ahead and just take the radar full while he's trying to pull that camera up.
Or tell you what, if you want to, Mark, if you want to take the Bryant-Denny camera full just for a moment, and I'm going to pull this camera up so you guys can see that. This is a look from Bryant-Denny and Tuscaloosa, Taylor, and there's no threat immediately for the Tuscaloosa area, but we're going to continue to watch storms.
Yes.
That are off to the west.
Yeah, and another thing while we're actually at it real quick, so I know Tuscaloosa, you're not seeing any storms right now, but the wind's increasing. The pressure gradient winds associated with this storm system will continue to increase tonight. So while we might not be seeing storms at the moment here in Tuscaloosa, you're going to see wind gusts up to 30, maybe 40 miles per hour, well ahead of where the storms are coming through. So that in itself might cause a couple of power outages potentially across parts of the area, Richard. And I think, Control, if we go ahead and take the weather graphics, it looks like Richard's got the camera up right now.
Yeah, so this is the camera. This is Interstate 22. Look at the lightning.
Jeez.
So we've had nearly nonstop lightning. So this is very close to Bexar, if you're familiar with that part of Marion County. That's Interstate 22 looking back towards the Mississippi State line. And we have nearly nonstop lightning with this dangerous tornadic thunderstorm. And the tornado itself is going to be very close to this camera site. This is the Algo traffic camera that's out of Bexar. This is on Interstate 22, again, in far western Marion County, not far from Scottsville. But again, you see off at the distance a light, see some 18-wheelers heading back towards the Mississippi State line. This is close to mile marker 3, which is 3 miles off of the Mississippi State line. That's east of the Mississippi State line. So again, you got traffic that's flowing into this tornado, and you see cars coming onto us too. So that is something to watch. Okay. So again, we've got, and I'm just checking behind the scenes here, what you're looking at against that live camera, and it certainly looks like this tornado is trying to dissipate, but it is coming right up on this camera site, Taylor.
Yeah, taking a look at the correlation coefficient, the last scan is a little promising. The one right before it, so about maybe 3 minutes ago, it still had, it looked like it had a signature of a tornado still actively on the ground. And it still kind of does, but that last one kind of, the debris kind of expanded a little bit. So usually if you see more of kind of, it's kind of tough to tell without actually seeing it, but it kind of has that look of there's really nothing there anymore, but there's still debris falling. So again, not saying that the tornado's lifted, but that last scan did look a little more promising. And it is just about to cross the state line.
Yeah, it is very close to this camera site. Interesting to note, they're going to. Okay, so they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning underneath this tornado warning too, and the reason for that is because of the strong rear flank downdraft winds that are going around this tornado. So again, you're looking live from Bexar, and the tornado itself, if it's still down, it's going to come almost directly over this camera, about 3 miles off of the Alabama-Mississippi State line. And you see that as cars in the distance that are coming basically eastbound on I-22. That's the westbound lanes right there. This is the eastbound lanes on I-22. And you know, Taylor, during the daytime, you would have an incredible view. If you've ever been in this part of Marion County and I-22, it is wide open. You've got some hilly terrain occasionally, but in terms of your view, your vantage point, you have an awesome view out here.
Yeah, you would. And, you know, this... I hate that this is happening at night. I hate that this is happening at all, but you would kind of prefer if this was happening during the days you actually see what's going on. But again, you know, this is just an incredible tornado that has occurred in eastern Mississippi, which is very unfortunate, and hopefully just hoping and praying that we had no loss of life with this. But you know, this was pretty scary, and it still could easily be on the ground here. So if you're living near Hamilton from the state line all the way to Hamilton along I-22, you definitely need to be in your safe place right now. Still, Detroit, I know we mentioned earlier, not in the warning. You were never in the warning, but you might have wanted to go ahead and take shelter. If you did, you're able to come out now. It's going to be well north of you guys. But this is just now across the state line, and velocity's still showing a little bit, but it gets a little bit better in a good way, meaning it's going away almost every scan now, Richard.
Yeah, and a quick note from the Weather Service office of Birmingham, they're thinking this thing may still have 80, 90-mile-per-hour winds that are heading towards Hamilton, downtown Hamilton area. So we got 80 to 90-mile-per-hour wind potential heading towards Hamilton. This, again, what's wrapped around this tornado. So you got some very strong winds. So you're looking right now live. This is from Bexar, and this potential tornado is going to be very close to that camera site. Heavy rain obviously falling there, but it's going to be hard to tell if you can actually see a tornado or not if there is one down. But it is almost to that camera site as we speak, Taylor. So this thing's coming in, but the lightning is tremendous. The rain is very heavy. There's a light off of the distance right here, and again, you just see the amount of rainfall, but unfortunately, you just really can't see anything there. So let's go back over to radar.
Hey, are you able to, I know I can't get it on my phone, but are you able to get anything off of Twitter onto your phone or iPad to show on air? I'm about to send you something. This is from Richard Boyd. This is actually, never mind. Take that back. I thought that this was the tornado in eastern Mississippi. That is actually a massive wall cloud that happened in the shoals. So never mind that. That was from earlier up there. I actually had a tornado warning up in Florence. So yeah, I saw that, and immediately it looked like it was from that cell in Hamilton, which is nice.
So again, the tornado itself is very close to Bexar. So let me go into this thing tight. And I think we just got a new update. They're going to continue the tornado warning. They're still saying this thing is a confirmed large, extremely dangerous tornado that's about 9 miles west of Hamilton, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So again, the Weather Service office in Birmingham, they're not going to take a chance with this thing and still suggest this thing could still be down. So let's go into this storm tide and let's look at this thing together and just see what we've got here. So I'll tell you what, I'll do the box zoom and go right into this thunderstorm. So this is part of a line segment that has formed here, and there's a supercell involved with that. Let's go back over to Columbus radar. And again, there's no doubt this thing has cut itself off. There's Bexar. That's right where that Algo traffic camera is located we were just looking at. But you've got very strong rear flank downdraft winds that are wrapping around this thing. So that's probably where the edge of your strong winds are right there. You can kind of see it on the reflectivity. So what was your tornadoes there moving northeast like that, and then you've got these strong 60, 70, 80 mile per hour winds wrapping around this thing. So again, if you are in Hamilton, you need to take this thing serious as we have a potential for strong winds up to 80 miles per hour with this thing. In fact, we've got an Algo camera that's over in Hamilton. I'm going to pull this thing up too and just show you what we got there because this is the storm that's coming towards Hamilton. So I'm just trying to figure which one is the best one to use. All right, so in Hamilton, let me go back over to this and show you. This is a live view from Hamilton. And again, you see the rain falling there and tremendous amounts of lightning, but we're going to watch these strong winds come in here in just a matter of moments, most likely within the next 10 to 15 minutes. That is going to move right into the Hamilton area, Taylor. So this is some really powerful winds here, and also the tornado potential is close. Just checking with Weather Service, and again, they're mentioning it doesn't matter if there's a tornado or not. The wind with this is incredible. There's a lot of wind energy, again, potentially up to 70, 80 miles per hour. The Weather Service even mentions maybe 90 mile per hour winds with that, which is truly remarkable. So again, this is a live view from Hamilton, and you're looking at obviously rain falling, strong gusty winds, but the winds are going to pick up quite a bit here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. You see the traffic lights, they're also moving around. Let me step out of the way, see right here. And then you got a vehicle, this guy out here on the road, and the wind just blowing the rain curtains, rain through there. But so far, they have not gotten those 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, but it will be there soon. Quickly, I do want to mention other areas. Let me go back over to our radar and show you a wide view for people asking about other parts of Alabama. There's currently no threat for Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Jefferson counties, and areas to the south. The only tornado threat and powerful damaging wind threat is for northern Lamar County and Marion County, where we still have that tornado warning for Marion County right now. So again, we have that potential for very strong winds and the potential for a tornado there. It does look like that large violent tornado probably doesn't exist anymore, Taylor, but it just does not matter. This is a dangerous situation for this storm that's in Marion County. So let me zoom into this thing tight. Just look at this thing together. Make sure there's no sign of a tornado trying to redevelop. Do you see anything?
You know, one thing I am noticing, it could just be because the radar is getting a little bit of an attenuation. But when it started out, it was kind of all by itself. It really wasn't involved in the line. It was kind of your discrete supercell, which is one of the things that we were watching for tonight, if we got any. And it kind of got into a line, and then it occluded. And now it looks like it's trying to separate itself again.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about there.
Just the way that the radar signature, the reflectivity looks. And if it does separate itself again, then it has a better opportunity to kind of revamp once again. So that's just something that just kind of caught my eye. It looks like it's trying to separate itself again.
And so far, I don't see any sign of a tornado on the debris signature like we did earlier, Taylor. So that's a good sign. But there's your powerful winds. That's Hamilton right there. So your winds are just about to move into Hamilton. They're on the west side of town where basically Interstate 22, that I-22 corridor is located. That's where those strong winds are. And again, you can kind of pick out your pockets of really powerful winds here. Just out of curiosity, let's look at this thing together and see how strong our winds are west of Hamilton, because I am certainly curious what our radar is picking up, because we are sampling air that's not far off the ground, so we could be getting a fairly decent indication of how strong the winds are. Look at that, 85 mile per hour right there west of Hamilton. And again, this is air that's not far off the ground, so there's a true potential this could be down at the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, you're exactly right.
There.
Yeah. And I can actually, I know you really can't do that on your end, but I can do it real quick on my end. I want to see what the altitude is on this. Let me stop that. So just southwest of Hamilton, the radar beam is just at 1,000 feet. So maybe even taking 10 miles an hour off of that, you're still 75, 80 miles per hour possibly. So yeah, I would suspect most of that's reaching the ground.
So again, this is still a dangerous thunderstorm by any means that's going to be impacting Hamilton here in just a matter of a moment. I want to take that live view. This is Algo traffic camera at Hamilton, and it is eerily quiet, Taylor, at Hamilton right now, but I can tell you right now that's about to change when those winds come into town. So I would be very interested to see how strong the winds actually get in Hamilton. So I would take shelter if you are in the downtown Hamilton area. Treat it like it's a tornado there. I know technically you're right on the edge of the tornado warning polygon, but the severe thunderstorm warning with the wind potential is going to be extreme there. So if you're in a mobile home, if you're in a site-built structure, take your tornado-like precautions and get in that lowest floor. If you're in a mobile home, get out of that, find a site-built structure quickly. Falling trees would be a real concern with that too. With this storm. And again, just checking. So again, some questions about this thing. You know, Silver City in Mississippi was hit by this violent tornado. This is the same storm that did that. Okay, Weather Service issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for Marion County. They are saying the thunderstorm threat is destructive of winds potentially at 80 miles per hour coming into Hamilton now. So that's the latest on that. So again, we have a dangerous thunderstorm that's still producing at least tornado-like winds if it's not still producing a tornado itself. And here we go. Looks like the wind's starting to come in now, Taylor. So you can see the wind that's changed directions just a bit in this camera site. So we're just watching this carefully.
I watched the traffic signal even on your back too, right there.
Yeah. So again, we're seeing the winds that are coming into the Hamilton area now. So we're going to watch this camera site. So again, if you are anywhere in central or western Marion County, we have strong damaging wind potential and a tornado potential with that as well. I don't see any screaming evidence there's a tornado there. I do see where Franklin County, the National Weather Service office in Huntsville, decided to post a tornado warning for Franklin County.
That's probably a good bet. I know this.
Here comes the wind.
Yeah, here comes the wind. I know that it's probably occluding, but again, this has a past history, a very strong and violent past history today. So, yeah, I think this could easily ramp back up very quickly. And even though it might not produce another strong or violent tornado, it could produce another weak one with very short notice given the environment.
So again, you got to look from Hamilton. This is the Algo traffic camera, and this kind of gives us a look out the window perspective here. And just we're interested to see how strong the winds actually get at this camera site. And Taylor, this thing ought to be very close to there now.
It's got to be getting there right now. I would say, within the next minute, 2 minutes.
So we're about to get a ground truth of what's happening. I do want to mention other parts of Alabama. There's no other issues south of here. Once you get south of Vernon, there's no problems ongoing in terms of severe damaging wind issues. So again, this is a thunderstorm that's coming through the Hamilton area now. The potential for a tornado is north of Hamilton, but it's still the wind wrapping around this thing is still something else. So again, we're watching that carefully. So let me go back over to our radar briefly and show you that. And again, you see that cluster of thunderstorms up there to the north. We had this individual supercell that was there, but it looks like the supercell has kind of occluded itself off, and it's no longer as impressive as it once was. And we may have lost that camera, Taylor. I'm checking back here behind the scenes.
That was one of the things I was curious about, is how long it's going to be before the power goes out or the camera loses connection.
So yeah, I think we may have lost that. It looks like we have. But I have not heard of any reports yet out of this thing.
I haven't either. One of the things that is very good with that is, one, this is, even though it's a pretty rural part of western Alabama, you're starting now to get into Hamilton. You still have a decent amount of people that kind of live outside of the city, right there along Interstate 22 and what used to be the US 78 corridor, right there along where the interstate is at. So not getting reports out of that is pretty promising right now. But again, it's just now moving through. I would imagine we're getting some power outages across that area right now. But one of the things I wanted to check real quick, and I don't think I was in the chat room. I think the Weather Service chat just kicked me off. I think it did. Let me refresh it. But one of the things I wanted to check is see if there's any reports that are coming out of Mississippi, but I don't see anything that came through the Birmingham chat. But I'm refreshing real quick. But yeah, that circulation, it's there, but it's not tornadic at all. It's basically just turned into a supercell that's producing very destructive straight line winds at the moment. All right, so let me go into that chat room. Yeah, they're definitely getting some damage and stuff, but I have not.
And we got that camera back up at Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything so far out of the area that is bad, but that's kind of concerning, the fact that there's nothing yet.
Yeah, and the time of the night, it is going to be tough to get reports right now. So that's just going to be something we deal with. Here's a look at this Hamilton camera. This camera's back up. The other camera in town is down right now, but you see the traffic lights behind me, these traffic lights moving around quite a bit. So we've got some strong winds coming through here, through the Hamilton area as we speak. And again, the Weather Service is still concerned about that, a potential for wind. It looks like the tornado has totally dissipated, though, so I don't think there's a tornado here anymore, but there is still that strong wind potential. So let's go back over to radar and show you what we got. So we'll take you into, first off, show you everybody out there. We've got your intense thunderstorms up here. This is it. Now, once you go southwest of that, there's no really major signatures of what we would think there might be a tornado. So I think this was probably our only big tornado of the night, Taylor, as it just looks like it doesn't look very impressive to our west, quite frankly. And even with our high-resolution model data we've been looking at over the past 12 to 24 hours, they have shown that sign of that one thunderstorm that just gets out of hand up here and then moves into the Tennessee Valley. And then we're left with rain and thunderstorms and gusty wind potential. So that may be what's happening, Taylor. We may be seeing that happen right now. So let's go back over to Columbus radar and look at this thing together. And I just don't know what we're going to hear out of Mississippi, because I'm telling you, that debris signature, the insane wind couplet with that, was something that you would see with an EF4, maybe an EF5 type of tornado. So this thing came through Amory, Mississippi, the Smithville area. It was just a hair on the north side of Amory and a hair on the south side of Smithville. So we can only hope that it missed those two communities enough for most people to be okay. But that was certainly a dangerous looking thunderstorm, one of the most impressive radar signatures I've seen in a long time. In fact, in years. It's been a while since we've seen that. We had a big tornado that went through central Alabama back in 2021. Went through the Greensboro area, went through Brent Centerville area. This was a tornado that looked similar to that, and that was a wide tornado that went through there. So this thing was mean back in Mississippi. This is what's left of it. And again, this kind of comma head feature, which can produce a tornado. But again, your strong wind potential is already now east of Hamilton. There's Winfield and Glen Allen there. And there's your tornado warning polygon, Taylor.
Hearing scanner reports of power lines and poles down in Marion County. So
okay.
Not surprised at all by that report there.
Yeah, so we'll probably get a lot more reports out of that. And I believe the Alabama Power probably has updated their maps now too, so I would be interested to see what they've got, the power outages up here in Marion County, because I imagine they're going to be increasing quite a bit. So that's what we're looking at there, is the strong wind potential with that. Let's go back over to the velocity. I just want to look at this thing now, see if there's any sign of a couplet, and it looks like the tornado is dead. It has dissipated. There's no sign of a tornado there. I don't think there's one down, Taylor, but there's still some strong winds in this. But at least the tornado, it looks like it has most likely dissipated before getting to Phil Campbell. Again, Hackleburg, Phil Campbell area, what's left of that rotation is coming up on you now. And again, very famous track, April 27, 2011, had that big EF5 tornado come through the Amory, Smithville area, ended up going through Hackleburg and Phil Campbell, and caused significant structural damage along its way. This tornado, as it came across the state line, was in a dissipating phase. So again, it looks like this thing may have totally died off.
Taking a look at the power outage map, looks like Pickens County has a few hundred out. Marion County so far just a few hundred, but that's probably going to go up once it updates. But the county so far that has the power outages is up in Lauderdale. Lauderdale County has over 11,000 people without power right now.
So up to the north, that was that other supercell storm, wasn't it, Taylor?
Yes, and I actually think that did produce a tornado. I think I did see a tornado report out of Huntsville on that. Of course, my computer decides to just freeze up a little bit on me. But yes, I'm pretty sure that there was, TrainSpotter reported a tornado along Highway 72 up there near Florence.
So, again, we're just looking at reports here of what's happened back in Mississippi, and it certainly looks like there's been a lot of damage back to the west, like the Rolling Fork, Mississippi area. They've had a lot of damage. What was that other community that was hit down there in west central Mississippi? It was north of Yazoo City. I'm trying to find that, but again, that was a violent tornado there. So this storm has caused a lot of havoc, but it looks like it's finally got to the point where things are calming down with this particular tornado. So that is the latest on that. So again, tornado warning continues for Marion County. What time is that tornado warning? Until 11:45. So we got about 10 more minutes left on that tornado warning for Marion County, and the National Weather Service office will allow that to expire at that point. But so far, I have not heard much from Marion County, which is good news. Hopefully that trend will continue. Go over to the debris signature. Let's just make sure there's no evidence of a tornado. I see nothing at all there, Taylor. That's good. Just compared to what 30, 45 minutes ago, we had this large debris ball, and as it got to Alabama, it died out. It hit that state line, and it died out quickly.
Yeah, and one thing I was looking at, let me kind of go back and see. So, one of the tools that we use is called mesoanalysis. So that you can take a look at kind of what is happening real time with the atmosphere and stuff. And one of the things that we always throw around is, instability, Cape value, stuff like that. On a day like today, we're around 700 to 1,000, which is unstable for this time of year, just given these storms of fuel and stuff. But there is an instability boundary that is set up between where around Hamilton is, upwards to maybe Hackleburg, and then eventually into parts of northern Alabama. We're getting less and less instability the further north you get. And that jumped right as it went from the state line. It went from about 1,000 all the way down to 500 pretty quickly. So it lost a lot of that fuel that it was using. So I think that helped it collapse and such. But instability continues to move on through. We're definitely not done with the severe storm risk for the night, but hopefully, so far, it looks like the trend is going down for the time being, Richard.
Yeah, and the Weather Service, they're saying they're not really thinking they're going to issue any additional warnings for this line of thunderstorms, severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. But again, we're going to watch these intense storms come through Lamar County. See, there's still that severe thunderstorm warning for Lamar County, but this stuff down here is not severe right now. There's plenty of fuel, as you mentioned, Taylor. There's a lot of instability, the gasoline for the thunderstorms down here in central Mississippi, even like Lamar and Pickens County. But the problem is your upper air support is pulling away, so that forcing what you get these storms energized with, what you get these storms organized with, is beginning to kind of lift out to the north there. So we're kind of seeing a disconnect between those two features. You need that for that overlap for severe weather, and we may be losing some of that, Taylor, so that's good. But again, still got a tornado warning technically for Marion County. The potential tornado, what's left of the rotation, is close to Hackleburg now. It's about to move over into Franklin County. And they're not expecting to issue another tornado warning either at this point. So that's the latest on that. Let's go in tight to Lamar County and show you what we got going on there, because we do have other thunderstorms that are further towards the south in Marion County, and these are impacting essentially central and north Lamar County. We got a very strong wind potential coming through Sulligent. This is north of the Vernon area, but heavy rain. A lot of lightning with this as well, as this activity lifts off towards the northeast. See Beaverton right there. There is the Stinson area, got Winfield, Glen Allen there, Ewan. Heavy rain approaching the Ewan area, but again, we don't see any sign of rotation with that. What's left of our circulation is over the Hackleburg area now. Let's look at the velocity. Just want to make sure there's nothing trying to reorganize with that. And I don't see any screaming evidence of a tornado there. Yeah, we got some wind here, but I don't see any screaming evidence of a tornado there, Taylor. But again, it's something need to watch. Let's go to the debris signature. Don't see anything there. So that is good.
You're still getting hints of debris that's falling, I think.
Yeah, this up here?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think we're still seeing debris. I was just looking at that, Taylor. So this may be, residual tree leaves and small twigs that are falling out of the sky. Most likely the big debris already fell down to the ground. I mean, gravity, it'll pull it down quick, and if it's a lighter object like a leaf or a small twig, it may last a lot longer. One of the most interesting experiences, and I've shared this on the air before, is down in Linden when I was a teenager in high school, and we had a tornado go through South Marengo County, and I remember it was raining and leaves and small twigs. There was just millions of leaves coming out of the sky. You could look up and you could see them as far as you could see them, little specks, and they'd fall down to the ground. It was such an odd experience. And Mr. Ralph Langley, I believe that was his house that was hit by that tornado. It was an EF2 tornado, or an F2 back then. How I remember that, I don't know, but I remember that tornado that hit Mr. Langley's house in South Marengo County. And but I got to see that firsthand, the debris falling out of the sky. And it's such a weird experience to see. And but being nightfall, most likely you're not going to see that here. But if it were daytime and you were in Hackleburg or Phil Campbell, you would probably see leaves still falling out of the sky from the residual tornado debris. So that is the latest on that. The tornado warning is about to be canceled, Taylor, here in just a minute. About 4 minutes from right now, the tornado warning will be allowed to expire for Marion County. Still stay safe here in Bear Creek, Hackleburg, Phil Campbell, but it looks like the tornado is diminished.
Yeah, and just kind of looking back along the other part of the line, we got. I mean, again, we're not done with the severe weather threat. It doesn't look. I mean, it looks like it's starting to wind down for the time being, and hopefully it just continues to be that way for the remainder of the night. But just looking back at some of the cells near Ackerman, Mississippi, Starkville, Mississippi, they are more broken. They are somewhat supercellular. They're not really rotating in the low levels. They're rotating in the mid levels. So they're getting some organization going. And just the past several radar scans, they seem like they're trying to get their act together. I think you're getting this little zone. When you go southwest of Ackerman, you got a lot of instability to work with, but you just don't have a lot of that forcing, that lift that gets the storms going. But once you start getting into that Ackerman, Starkville, that area, it looks like that's where the cutoff is. North of that, you've got the good forcing. South of it, you don't. And the storms are starting to move into that more favorable area, and they do seem like they're kind of having an uptick in it. For the time being.
We'll see what happens to these storms right here as they move into Lamar County and maybe Pickens County. So, yeah, you know, these storms have these kind of little kidney beam shapes to them. I don't think there's any warning at all for these. I don't see a severe thunderstorm warning right now. But again, this could change. These storms do move into not necessarily a more thermodynamic favorable environment, but the more kinematic setup where you have the better uplift to the north there. So, you know, we'll see if these things can organize a little bit more, but I think they're just kind of running out of the best support. So we'll watch it. That's what we're here for. We're going to be here all night till this threat's totally over. They're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for Winston County. Just because there's still that strong wind potential out of that storm coming out of Marion County. So let's go up to the north and show you that storm that's in Winston County here.
It's literally like the entire county's under the warning.
Oh, yeah, there it is. So they've already issued the warning. I didn't see that come across. There it is, okay. So, yeah, severe thunderstorm warning for Winston County.
Also got a report of one of the spotters in Marion County. I believe this is in Hamilton. Yeah, 3rd Street North by the courthouse. Of a roof is in the street.
Over in Hamilton?
Didn't specify how big. It was just there's a roof in the street.
It could be a metal awning, could be, you know, a large structure. But we saw the camera side, and again, from the camera we're looking at, the winds didn't seem to get overly impressive at the time we were watching that, but the power went out briefly. So maybe that's when that strong burst of wind came through there. And obviously, something happened in Hamilton if you got a roof in the road. So again, we got damage from that. What's left of that, this little bowing segment, essentially on top of Haleyville right now. In fact, we've got a Algo camera that is in Haleyville, Taylor. So I'm going to pull that up, and while I do that, we're kind of watching that storm down with Sulligent too for any strong wind. But I don't think they have a warning down there.
Not yet. And taking a look at the velocity data with it, I'm trying to. There's not really. You're really just getting a straight line wind signature with it. I don't really see anything that's trying to start to twist and stuff. But yeah, no warning on it. But I would imagine there's still some pretty hefty gusty winds down there near Sulligent and Vernon right now. Which camera is that?
This is Haleyville.
That's the Haleyville camera.
The Haleyville camera. So again, we can see the power lines that are kind of dancing around in the wind there, but it's hard to get a good judge of how strong the winds actually are at that camera side. But you can tell there's some wind happening there in Haleyville. And what's the warning text on that, Taylor? What was the wind on that?
For the Winston County?
Yes.
60 mile per hour max.
Okay.
Did get a 25 mile per hour gust in Vernon, but that's ahead of the line. So that's that pressure gradient right ahead of the storms moving through that we were talking about earlier. So I would imagine that 25 mile per hour gust is going to start increasing because the storms are just about to get into Vernon.
Here we go. This is a look from Haleyville. You can see it a little better now of the winds, the currents of winds, the sheets of rain that are coming down the street there. So again, you're looking live from Haleyville. This is that strong 50, 60 mile per hour wind potential that's coming through there. So again, we're just watching this. There's a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning for that. The National Weather Service has allowed that tornado warning to expire. But again, you see these strong winds coming through the Haleyville area. So again, we could see damaging winds in excess of 60, 70 miles per hour. Yeah, look at the wind there, Taylor. Coming through there. So I mean, you see the sheets of rain coming down the road there. So this is what you get in a severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like winds are really picking up now. So you're watching, this is a live view from Haleyville. You see the Jackson, Haleyville right there, familiar with where we're looking at in that part of town. So again, the strong winds continue to come through there. These are straight line winds. These are not tornadic winds, but strong straight line winds, 60, 70 miles per hour, could bring trees down. It could bring a tree down on your house. So, you know, winds like that, we often want you to go ahead and get in that middle part of your house and treat it as if there were a tornado warning based off of the night to night and how these storms could actually behave there. But again, one good thing, the Weather Service did allow that tornado warning for Marion County to expire. So we got a severe thunderstorm warning for Winston County, and you are looking live at Haleyville. And this is that camera site that's showing where that wind is doing. This is the Algo traffic camera. And, you know, it's hard to do an estimate how strong the winds actually are there, but, I mean, you can tell the winds are really howling at that camera spot, so it's amazing we still have power there. The winds continue to pick up. Now, the rest of central Alabama, once you go south of Winston County and Walker, even Fayette County, Tuscaloosa County, there's no current severe weather issues ongoing, but we do have these strong winds with this line of thunderstorms to the north of there that are coming on through. And the line itself is lined up from about Vernon, just north of Vernon to Brilliant to Haleyville. And this, the strong winds are just about done at Haleyville. So this isn't going to take much longer, and things could begin to quieten down just a bit. So again, here's a look at a radar, and let me take you back into, again, you see that live view from the Algo traffic camera. Let me go back to Columbus radar perspective, and let's go into the storm type and show you what we got. Here's your line of thunderstorms. And again, notice how it becomes more broken down to the southwest. Again, any strong wind impact is going to be up here in eastern Marion County, Winston County, that Boeing segment you see right there. We do need to watch, again, there's another storm that's got a little bit of a bow down there in Starkville, but it's more of a weaker storm. So the Weather Service office in Jackson has not issued a severe thunderstorm warning for that. But again, our only severe thunderstorm warning is in Marion County, Winston County for that strong wind potential. Let's go over to the velocity real quick. I want to do want to look at that and make sure we see no sign of anything trying to rotate. I don't see any sign of that. Looks like all straight line wind. So that's one good thing is we don't see rotating wind for a tornado to occur. So again, it's coming up on midnight. We're at 11:50 right now. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. We got meteorologist Taylor Plott here with us as well. We had a confirmed tornado back in Monroe County, Mississippi. The storm has moved into Alabama, began to weaken. We had the tornado warning from Marion County for quite some time. That warning has been allowed to expire, so that is good with that. There are no other warnings. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning. See, Weather Service mentioned something. You see that, Taylor, about Bear Creek?
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I wasn't sure if I was. Yeah, I mean, I saw that briefly, and I just thought it was just kind of noise. But yeah, definitely looks like we had another touchdown, maybe near Bear Creek. Let me look at the debris. There it is, debris signature. So yeah, I don't know if it's still on the ground,
Probably
but
not.
I think at this point it's up in Franklin County.
Yeah, so we had a very brief tornado touchdown at Bear Creek on the north side there. So what you're seeing, you're still seeing the residual debris there out of that. Again, there's no tornado warning. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning, and anytime you understand you have a severe thunderstorm warning, you have the potential for a tornado. We often say that. So treat severe thunderstorm warning serious, but the tornado warning had been allowed to expire. So look at the velocity with that.
It looks like
You kind of see that little spot right there.
It's hard to tell, but if you, the one I think it's near Phil Campbell now. I think it's up in Franklin County at this point. It's that very northern one right by the banner.
Okay.
Up north.
Yeah,
I
Phil
think
Campbell right there.
Yeah.
So Yeah, a little TDS popped up. That was a tornado debris signature, Taylor. So we had another brief tornado touchdown. Let's see where this thing is now. And yeah, it's dissipating. So it's probably quick EF0 if anything. But I tell you what, a night like tonight, you got to watch all storms carefully because these things could drop a tornado. This is that same storm that had that big tornado down at Amory and Smithville. But again, it looks like that thing is already dissipated. There's no tornado warning, but we did have a very brief tornado touchdown not far from Bear Creek, probably just on the door side of town, about a mile or so up on Highway 237 there. That's where that potential tornado did briefly touch down. South of Rich Road, just north of County Road 366, where that did occur. So again, we're going to hang out here just for a few more minutes, make sure we don't have anything additional. And in fact, Marcus, if you want to notify those guys, we're going to stay on until midnight, and at about 12:01, 12:02, we'll go back over the program. So just wanted to stay here a little bit longer, make sure we are in the clear before we do go back over the program. So, all right, for people just now joining us, let me reset things for a moment, show you a wide view since things are kind of quieting down just a bit. Let's take on Columbus radar, show you a wide view across central Alabama and what all is going on. So again, we got a line of thunderstorms up here lined up from about the Haleyville area back towards Guin to about Vernon. So that's where that line of thunderstorms is. And then it stretches back into Mississippi. There's no evidence of any tornadoes back here in East Mississippi right now. There's another storm that's northwest of Columbus. The Bears are watching with strong wind potential, but I don't see any screaming evidence of a tornado. So anybody that's down in the Tuscaloosa area, Birmingham area south, there's no current threat for a tornado. Let's go over to the watch warning map, and I'll show you that. We do still technically have a tornado watch up here until 3 a.m. for Marion, Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Winston, and Coleman counties. So those particular counties under a tornado watch. Severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Marion County. Most of Winston County is underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, and that severe thunderstorm warning till 12:30. So again, the risk with that's going to be strong straight line winds. We had a quick tornado touchdown near Bear Creek that's now lifted over into Franklin County. And Taylor, I don't think that storm still has a tornado down with it.
No, that was very quick. I mean, the velocity signature was there, and yeah, quick spin up, and then it was gone. So yeah, I would imagine that. Just kind of going back on here on my phone. Yeah, it's completely gone now, and yeah, probably still just some pretty strong winds. So that will continue to move to the north and east. So that's getting up to the Huntsville market, so Moulton, Lawrence County area right now.
Yeah, so again, that's Tennessee Valley counties in North Alabama dealing with that severe storm and that potential for a brief tornado. Again, down to the south, the counties in the Chan-shaded area, that is a wind advisory that continues out there. Let me show you a wide view and kind of how things have happened for tonight. We have one little supercell storm move through Pickens and Fayette counties, but again, that storm didn't do anything in Alabama other than produce some rain and brief lighting. The storms back here in Mississippi, if you look over the past couple of hours, they don't really seem to be doing much. We've got rain and thunder back here, but there's no evidence of a tornado here in central Mississippi. Really, the main support for severe weather is to the north, and there's kind of a disconnect now between the good instability and the uplift. So notice how storms up here look more intense, but the problem is up here you don't have much instability, that gasoline for the storms to produce a tornado. But again, we had that one storm that really got out of hand. It started back here. You see right there, that's it. We go back, crossed the Mississippi River, produced a long track tornado, and then ended up in Marion County, now moving into Franklin and Lawrence County up in North Alabama. So again, that's the latest situation on that. Quick update from the National Weather Service. Let's see some roof damage and multiple trees, power lines down in Hamilton because of that strong wind.
That report there of 51 knots at Haleyville, so that's right around 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, and we saw that. We saw that live with that camera. You can see the curtains of rain and strong gusty winds come through Haleyville. Hard to give an idea of how strong the winds were looking at a camera perspective, not being there with an anemometer. to measure the wind. But yeah, they did officially measure wind almost at 60 miles per hour. So that's kind of ground truth of what's been happening there with that particular storm. So again, severe thunderstorm warning continues until 12:30 for Winston County in Alabama. This is our model data. We haven't really talked a lot about what's going to happen for the rest of the night. So for people watching us, other cities, let me take you into the night. So again, this is 12 o'clock basically now. We'll go to 1:30, 3:30. At that point, storm should be near Livingston, Greensboro, Brent, Centerville, Chelsea over towards Gadsden. So that should be what's left of your line of thunderstorms. I don't think there's going to be a tornado issue with the storms down here, but we need to monitor that for any sort of spin-up developing. 4:30 in the morning, storms should be from about Wadowee over to Clanton to about Linden, Demopolis, Marion. You'll be dealing with the storms about 4 o'clock in the morning. So again, that's what times the storms will be in your area. And then after that, storms continue to weaken as they do track off towards the east direction. So again, that's the latest on that. 11:58 now, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott with the meteorologist Taylor Plott, and we are in a break from tornado warnings. We have a severe thunderstorm warning from Winston County. Go back into that on radar, and again, there's that little feature, that Boeing segment, and it looks like this thing may be a little less organized than it once was. We got some really heavy rain and likely some intense lightning with these storms. Go over to the lightning output because I do want to see how much we actually have. You know, Taylor, we can measure how many lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes in Alabama, in this part of Alabama.
I do want to make a quick mention that warning in Winston County, they're going with observed 60-mile-per-hour winds based on that Haleyville report. And
that makes sense. So again, we're seeing observed severe thunderstorm type of winds. Number of strikes in the past 15 minutes, 139 in this little segment, this line of thunderstorms there. So again, that's the latest on that. So quite a few lightning strikes ongoing. We saw that with that camera in Haleyville, and we saw that camera in Bexar. A lot of lightning with these thunderstorms. Let's clear this information off here. And again, there's your storms we're dealing with. The line stretches back into Mississippi, and all this will slowly sag southeast with time. By the time we get into around 2 o'clock in the morning, Interstate 59 should be dealing with these storms. And again, that'll be in about 2 hours from right now. So 12 o'clock midnight, or coming up on 12 o'clock here in just a minute. It is Friday night, almost midnight. So officially, once it hits midnight, a good morning to you. We've been watching storms for the past several hours. Taylor, one good thing is it looks like the structure of these thunderstorms that were back in Mississippi producing those tornadoes, not so much now.
Yeah, not so much now. One of the things that they had back over there that we don't really have is they had a lot more instability to work with. We're still unstable, which is why we have our severe threat and why we've seen some of the rough weather coming through so far. But they had a lot more instability to work with. And the storms, once they develop initially discrete. They're all by themselves, and you get those supercells to get going, and then eventually there's so much forcing in the air, you get what's called upscale growth, and then eventually you start to get more storms, and they form a line. And so that's why you had more of a higher risk over there as opposed to over here. But yeah, I was hoping that we could just get through this event and just really didn't have anything happen bad, but unfortunately, you know, what the risk that we have been advertising, not only here in Alabama, but also across to the west, seems to have definitely occurred, which is something that you still don't want to see.
Yeah, we've had a lot of damage back in Mississippi, and most likely, based off some of the reports, we'll probably end up with loss of life back in Mississippi. We have no confirmation of numbers, but it does not look good, especially that one thunderstorm right there that produced a long track tornado back in Mississippi. So again, as these things moving in Alabama, they are in a gradual weakening phase. So most likely, we're not going to have any additional tornado hazards for Tuscaloosa South. But we still need to watch our northern counties, still have that tornado watch in effect until 3 a.m. So again, here's a look at Doppler radar, the loop over the past 30 minutes, and there's your line of thunderstorms. So what we'll do is we will go back over the program. We will plan on coming back here at 12:30 to do a quick severe weather update. If we have any tornado warnings between now and then, we'll go on TV and we'll stay on with you until the warning does expire. But otherwise, we'll take a break. We'll come back here at 12:30 for a live severe weather update. We'll see you then.